And finally, let's do a quick analysis on past performance. And don't worry, we're actually going to be doing a much bigger deep dive on performance analytics and metrics in the module that's titled How to Analyze Your Creative Performance Advanced. But when I'm in the research portion of onboarding a client, I like to quickly analyze what's been tested, what's worked, and anything that I can zoom in on to help me form that initial creative strategy. Of course, the bigger picture stuff is really important and is going to be more strategic and help give us the bigger picture. But this initial analysis is really about quickly synthesizing where the brand is currently at with their performance creative so that we're not starting from the ground level essentially. So what I like to do is I like to get an analysis of what's been tested recently, what's currently running, and just get a lay of the land and approach it really similarly to how we're doing a competitor analysis. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to quickly analyze the top performing creatives over the last 30 days. And this is essentially going to help you analyze what's performing now. I would also cross-analyze that with performance over the last 7 days. So are the top performing creatives the same? Is there a little bit of ad fatigue going on? Are their creatives not as scalable? Also here, take note of the top performing formats. So of course, video, image, carousel, but also zoom in on those secondary formats like us versus them, UGC, features point out, etc. And these top performing reports are essentially going to tell us, hey, this is what is performing now. And I would quickly analyze if there are any quick wins that you think could be implemented based on all the amazing research that you've already done. The second thing that I'd suggest is also doing an analysis on the top performing creatives over the last 6 months. Again, try to analyze how this has changed over time. Also, be sure to be on the lookout for any specific outliers like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or any other big sales, because that will definitely sway the performance on what's worked and what hasn't. And if you're an agency working with a client, I would highly suggest in the initial onboarding process to ask them if there are any time periods where they'd like you to zoom in on for your analytics. And ultimately, what all these top performing reports are going to tell you is, hey, what are the trends over a longer period of time? And also zoom in on if anything has changed. The next two things you want to analyze are specific to video creative. And the first one is going to be analyzing the top hook rates in the account. And the hook rate metric is essentially showing you the percentage of people that watched the first 3 seconds of your ad creative. A super, super important metric for you to be tracking in your ad account. However, this is a custom metric, so you're going to have to put it into your Facebook ads account manually. And that's going to be 3-second video views divided by impressions and make sure that it's a percentage. I'll have a screenshot right up here for you. And here, essentially, we want to analyze what ad creative has done the best job of initially hooking users. But be sure to cross-analyze this with purchases. And what I would actually do is I would show the ad creative that got the most amount of purchases, and then I would go down the line a little further than you did initially for your top performing creatives and see if there are any other outlier creatives that had those higher hook rates that you can synthesize and analyze. And what you really want to zoom in on here is, okay, what messaging is doing the best job at hooking that initial user? And what imagery is doing the best job? Is it people talking to a camera? Is it looking at just your product? Is it more text-based? What's going on there in that first 3 seconds that's contributing to those higher hook rates? The next analysis you're going to want to run is on your top performing hold rates. Again, a hold rate is a custom metric, and that's going to be through play divided by impression by percentage. And I do want to zoom in on this metric, the through play. Now, a through play is triggered when someone watches up to 15 seconds of your video. However, if your video is under 15 seconds, that's also when a through play is triggered. So a through play can be triggered on a 3-second video or by someone watching the first 15 seconds of your 60-second video, which is again why you want to cross-analyze your hold rates also with your average video watch time. But if you have a number of videos that are 40, 50, 60 seconds long, that's going to be pretty inflated. So you really want to get an understanding of, okay, how many people are staying around after the hook? And ultimately what this is going to tell you is, okay, how is the editing, the pacing, the subsequent imagery and messaging doing at maintaining the viewer's attention? This can also be an indication of how well you've actually hooked someone in the beginning, and if the promise and package that you're promising in the hook is actually being fulfilled shortly after they begin to watch your video. Now, when you have all of this information at your disposal, you're going to be able to do a few things. Number one, you need to ask yourself, okay, Knowing all of this data, is there anything that you need to keep in mind for future creatives? Is there anything that you should avoid, or is there any low-hanging fruit that you can execute on to get your client or your brand a quick win? In the past, when I've done this for brands, I've actually just quickly written out, okay, these are the type of hooks that works. This is the type of imagery and messaging that does the best job at hooking those initial users. This is the type of editing and pacing that does the best job of holding those users. And I'll note a few other ways that they can take it a step further and iterate on it. Now, what I would do is I would mark down all of these learnings in your creative strategy worksheet so that you have it and so that it's something that you can build upon as you start selecting what type of secondary formats and what type of overall strategies you're going to be creating for your brand or for your client's brand. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.